The cock crowed thrice in the stillness of the morning, its echo bouncing across the red earth compounds of Amuka village. The sun had not yet risen, but the faint light of dawn crept gently through the raffia palms, painting the huts and zinc-roofed houses with a pale glow. It was a new day, but for Amaka, the 25-year-old who was often seen with lowered eyes and a quiet spirit, mornings were rarely different from nights. She rose from her raffia mat quietly, as she always did, careful not to disturb her elder sister, Chinyu, who was still curled up on the bed in the next room. Amaka had long accepted her place in that house, not as a daughter, not as a sibling in truth, but as an intruder who was never truly wanted. She swept the compound, fetched water from the clay pot, and lit the firewood in the smoky kitchen to prepare Chinyu's morning tea. Amaka, a sharp voice sliced through the calm of dawn. It was Chinyu's, hoarse with sleep but laced with irritation. Did you not hear me coughing since? Do you want me to die of thirst before you bring me hot water? Amaka froze at the sound, her small hands tightening around the calabash of water she was holding. She quickly abandoned the kitchen and hurried to her sister's room. I'm sorry, Chinyu, she said softly, bowing slightly as though apologizing to a goddess. The water is boiling. I will bring it immediately. Chinyu sat up in bed, her face hard and cold. At 30, she carried herself with the pride of a woman who had fought through storms and refused to bend. She was beautiful in the way a well-cut stone was beautiful, sharp, polished, but dangerous to touch. Her eyes, though large and bright, always seemed to hold a permanent shadow of anger. Amaka, on the other hand, had a softer beauty. Slender, with a glowing brown skin and a round face that looked younger than her age, she was the kind of girl who could easily be mistaken for a teenager. Her gentleness was not weakness, though many took it as such. It was the strength of one who had endured too much and still chose silence over rebellion. The neighbors often wondered why Chinyu treated Amaka the way she did. In a typical Igbo home, even when siblings fought, there was always a sense of blood-tie loyalty. But between these two, there was none. Chinyu rarely allowed Amaka to eat from the same pot, and when visitors came, she introduced her only as my younger sister who is still finding her way in life. The truth, however, was a secret locked deep in Chinyu's heart, a truth she had hidden for 25 years. Amaka was not her younger sister. She was her daughter. The memory of that shameful past haunted Chinyu like a stubborn ghost. She had been only 15, a bright-eyed secondary school girl, when she met Chaik, the handsome trader who often passed through the village on his way to Onitsha. He had promised her the world, whispered dreams under the mango tree, stolen kisses by the stream. And when her belly swelled with child, he vanished like smoke. The shame nearly killed her mother, who forced her into silence. To save face, they told the community that Amaka was the child of Chinyu's late aunt, taken in out of pity. But to Chinyu, Amaka was not a child of pity. She was a reminder, a breathing, walking, constant scar. Every time Chinyu looked at her, she saw the man who had abandoned her, the wasted years, the laughter of friends who mocked her. That bitterness hardened her heart until hatred was the only language she knew how to speak to Amaka. And so the days passed with cruelty disguised as guardianship. By mid-morning, the village bustled with life. Women returned from the stream balancing water pots, their wrappers tied tightly around their waists. Men trooped to their farms, hoes slung across shoulders. The aroma of roasted maize and fried akara drifted from the market square. Yet in Chinyu's compound, silence reigned. Amaka sat in the shade of the avocado tree, plucking ugu leaves into a bowl, her stomach rumbling with hunger. She had cooked yam and vegetable soup, but Chinyu had eaten most of it and left only the watery remains for her. As Amaka worked, a group of girls passed by, giggling loudly. One of them, Ngozi, who had grown up with Amaka, called out, "Amaka, when will you stop being your sister's housegirl? Come and join us in the church youth fellowship. At least there, people will value you." The girls laughed and moved on, but their words pierced Amaka's heart like a blade. For weeks, she had been thinking of leaving the house. The church had become her only place of comfort, where the priest called her Nwanyi Oma, a good woman, and the sisters welcomed her warmly. If her sister would not love her, maybe God would. That evening, when Chinyu returned from her boutique in town, Amaka gathered courage and spoke. "Chinyu, I want to live in the church. The parish priest has agreed. They will train me as a sister. Chinyu looked up sharply, her eyes narrowing. For a moment, Amaka thought she would laugh. Instead, Chinyu smirked. Better. Maybe you will finally be useful to someone. Pack your things and go. But don't come back here crying when hunger finishes you. Amaka nodded, her heart heavy yet relieved. That night, under the faint glow of the lantern, she packed her few clothes into a nylon bag, tucked her Bible under her arm, and walked out of the compound without looking back. And so began her journey into the unknown, seeking solace in the arms of God, not knowing that the web of secrets, lies, and destiny was only tightening around her. The harmattan wind had begun to blow across Omoka, leaving the red earth cracked and dry, coating the leaves in dust that made the village look like an old photograph. At dawn, children hurried with their calabashes to the stream before the water turned muddy, while elders sat under the Udala tree at the village square, gossiping about those who had gone to the city or abroad. It was during this season of dryness that Obina returned. Obina was not a stranger to Omoka, though his absence for nearly 10 years had turned him into a name whispered with awe. He had left as a restless young man, full of ambition, and traveled abroad in search of greener pastures. Now he came back a different man, his shoulders broader, his skin polished, and his steps confident. He drove into the village in a shining Lexus Jeep, a car that threw up clouds of red dust and caused children to chase after it, shouting, "Oyabo! Oyabo!" His mother, Mama Obina, nearly wept with joy when she saw him. She was a stout woman in her late 50s, with a voice that carried far and a heart that had waited too long. "Nwam, my son, Chinikemala, God has done it," she cried, hugging him tightly as though she would never let go. The neighbors gathered quickly, clapping, singing praises, and stretching their hands for kola nuts and the bottles of gin that Obina generously provided. For days, his return became the talk of the village. Women gossiped at the stream about his wealth. Men at the palm wine joint discussed his business ventures, and young girls blushed at the thought of being chosen by him. Obina, however, remained calm, almost withdrawn. Beneath his wealth and polished charm lay a seriousness that puzzled many. "I have not come to play," he told his mother one evening as they sat outside their compound, the moon casting silver shadows on the earth. "I want to marry, but not just any girl. I want someone young, God-fearing, respectful, and different from these ones that chase after money like flies on palm wine." Mama Obina nodded thoughtfully. "You are right, my son. Many girls nowadays are only interested in what they can collect. We must find you a good wife, someone who will respect our family name." It was the very next day that fate brought Chinyu into his path. She had gone to town to purchase fabrics for her boutique and was on her way back when her car broke down at the junction leading to the village. Frustrated, she stood by the roadside, fanning herself with a folded piece of cardboard, when a black Lexus Jeep slowed down beside her. The tinted window rolled down, and she saw him. "Do you need help?" Obina asked, his voice calm and deep. Chinyu blinked, momentarily caught off guard. The man was strikingly handsome, his white shirt neatly pressed, his wristwatch gleaming in the sun. He carried the air of someone important, someone who knew his worth. "Yes, my car just stopped," she replied, adjusting her wrapper quickly. "I don't even know what is wrong." Obina stepped out, tall and commanding, and examined the vehicle briefly before shaking his head. "It looks like your radiator is leaking. You can't drive it far. Let me give you a lift home, and tomorrow I will send someone to fix it." Chinyu hesitated, then smiled gratefully. "Thank you, sir. I live close by." As they drove into the village, Chinyu studied him from the corner of her eye. His composure, his clean fingernails, the way he handled the steering wheel, it all screamed wealth. Her heart raced. Perhaps this was the opportunity she had been waiting for. When they reached her compound, Obina stepped out politely, refusing to sit or linger. "It was nice meeting you," he said. "My name is Chinyu," she offered quickly, eager to keep his attention. "I run a boutique here in the village. I also import fabrics." Obina nodded politely, but without warmth. "That's good. I'm Obina, Mama Nina's son." Chinyu's eyes widened. Mama Obina's son? The one who returned from abroad? The same man who was the subject of every village conversation? She forced a bright smile. "Ah, welcome back. Your mother must be very proud." Obina only nodded again and turned to leave. It was not until the next market day that Chinyu saw him again. this time in the company of his mother at the village square. She made sure to walk over, her steps graceful, her smile carefully polished. Obinna, you didn't even tell me you were Mama Obinna's son, she teased. He smiled faintly, his eyes scanning the crowd. Forgive me. I didn't think it was important at that moment. Chinyu laughed lightly, tossing her head so that her earrings glittered. She thought she had caught his interest, but when she tried to linger, Obinna's words cut her sharply. You are a beautiful woman, Chinyu. But I am not looking for someone like you. I want a young girl. Someone innocent, God-fearing, who will raise my children in the fear of God. The word stung. Chinyu's smile faltered, though she quickly recovered. She had spent years building her business, dressing herself well, and competing with women in the city. To be dismissed so easily was an insult she could not swallow. Still, she masked her hurt and leaned closer. If that is what you want, I can help you. I know just the girl. Obinna raised an eyebrow. You do? Yes, Chinyu said, her voice smooth like oil. My younger sister. She is everything you described. Young, quiet, and very God-fearing. She even lives in the church. You will like her. Obinna's eyes lit up with interest for the first time. Bring her to me. Chinyu's heart tightened. She had not spoken to Amaka since she left for the church. But now, a plan was forming in her mind. Perhaps she had been too quick to let the girl go. Perhaps Amaka could serve a greater purpose after all. That night, as she lay in her bed, Chinyu stared at the ceiling, her mind racing. She would bring Amaka back. She would polish her up, present her to Obinna, and secure her place beside him. If Obinna wanted Amaka, then through Amaka, she herself would also taste the wealth and connections he brought. Yes, she thought, smiling in the dark. This was her chance, and she would not let it slip away. The bell of St. Teresa's Catholic Church rang 3 times, summoning the faithful for evening Massachusetts. The church compound was alive with movement. Children running about in their white choir gowns, women with their heads covered in lace scarves, and men in neatly pressed shirts. In one corner, a group of sisters in their white habits prayed quietly, their voices blending in a soft hum that seemed to rise like incense into the heavens. Among them was Amaka. Her face carried a serenity that could only be born of surrender. Since she had left Chinyu's house, the church had become her refuge. She woke at dawn to sweep the altar, spent afternoons in catechism classes, and sang hymns with such devotion that people said her voice could calm even a storm. Yet behind that peace lay a heart still bruised. She missed having a family that truly loved her. She often wondered if she was destined to be unwanted all her life. Still, she told herself that God was enough, that his house would shelter her where her so-called family had failed. But fate, as always, had other plans. It was a week after Obinna had spoken with Chinyu that she appeared suddenly at the church, her wrapper tied tightly, her face painted with urgency. She spotted Amaka near the statue of the Virgin Mary, polishing the brass candlesticks. Amaka, Chinyu called, her tone unusually soft. Amaka froze. She had not seen her sister in weeks, not since she left the house. A mix of fear and suspicion rose in her chest. Chinyu, what are you doing here? Chinyu smiled faintly, though it did not reach her eyes. Must you ask? You are my sister. Did you expect me to forget you just like that? Come, let's talk. The priest gave his blessing for them to sit by the parish garden. There, Chinyu began her well-rehearsed performance. She spoke of how lonely the house had been without Amaka, how she missed her help, and how she regretted letting her leave so quickly. But that is not why I came, Chinyu said, lowering her voice as though sharing a precious secret. Amaka, I found someone. A man who has just returned from abroad. He is young, God-fearing, wealthy, everything a woman would want. He is not looking for just beauty, he wants character. And when I thought of all the girls I know, it was you who came to my mind. Amaka blinked in shock. Me? But I live here. I want to be a sister. Marriage is not for me. Chinyu reached out, squeezing her hand with a firmness that felt more like a grip. Don't be foolish, Amaka. Do you think opportunities like this come every day? This man is serious. He wants a wife, not a girlfriend. Imagine how blessed you will be. You can still serve God in marriage. Have you not heard that marriage is also a vocation? Amaka lowered her eyes. A storm raged within her. She had found peace in the church, yet the thought of being wanted, truly wanted by someone, stirred something deep inside her. Chinyu, sensing her hesitation, leaned closer. Please, my sister, do this for me. Just meet him. If you don't like him, no one will force you. But at least hear him out. He is coming tomorrow." Against her better judgment, Amaka agreed. The next evening, Obina stood in Chinyu's sitting room, dressed neatly in a navy blue shirt and black trousers. The scent of imported cologne filled the air. When Amaka entered, her steps hesitant, Obina's eyes widened slightly. She was not dressed extravagantly, only a simple white gown borrowed from one of the church sisters, but there was a glow about her. Her face was free of makeup, her hair neatly tied back, her eyes calm yet deep. She looked like innocence carved into human form. Obina's heart skipped. This was exactly what he had prayed for. Chinyu beamed as though she herself had accomplished a miracle. "Obina, meet my younger sister, Amaka." Obina stepped forward and extended his hand. "It's a pleasure to meet you." Amaka hesitated, then shook his hand lightly. "Good evening, sir. Please, call me Obina," he said, smiling warmly. "I have heard a lot about you." They sat down, and soon the conversation began to flow. Obina spoke of his years abroad, how he had struggled at first, washing plates in restaurants, sleeping in cramped apartments, until fortune smiled on him. He told her about the businesses he now managed and his desire to build a life back home. But when it was her turn, Amaka was shy. She spoke softly about her life in the church, how she found joy in prayer, and how she hoped to live a life of service. Obina listened with rapt attention. The more she spoke, the more convinced he became that she was the one. She was pure, untouched by greed or worldly ambition. She was exactly what he wanted. That very night, after he left, Obina told his mother, "I have found her. That is the girl I will marry." From that day on, Obina courted Amaka with a passion that left the entire village talking. He visited the church compound often, bringing baskets of fruits, cartons of provisions, and even money for the parish. At first, Amaka resisted, reminding him that she had chosen the path of the church. But Obina was patient and relentless. "Marriage is not against God," he would say. "Even priests bless marriages. Look at Mary and Joseph. God was with them. He will be with us too." Gradually, Amaka's resolve began to waver. The attention, the kindness, the way he looked at her as though she were the only woman in the world. It stirred emotions she had buried. For the first time, she felt what it meant to be loved. Chinyu, watching from the sidelines, fanned the flames. "Amaka, stop delaying. This man is serious. He can give you everything you have lacked. Do you want to waste your youth in the church when a good man is waiting for you?" The pressure mounted. Villagers whispered behind her back, "That church girl? Obina is chasing her." Oh, some were envious, others supportive, but all eyes were on her. At last, after weeks of prayer, tears, and persuasion, Amaka gave in. She agreed to marry Obina. Obina wasted no time. He showered her with gifts, gold earrings, new clothes, and even a brand new phone. He set up a small shop for Chinyu, claiming it was his way of honoring her as the elder sister. He bought her a Toyota Corolla, ensuring that Chinyu's loyalty was sealed. For Amaka, the whirlwind of love was dizzying. She still prayed daily, but her prayers now included Obina's name. She found herself smiling more, her heart light with the sweetness of first love. But what she did not know was that love that burns too fast often burns out even faster. The air in Amuaka village was charged with excitement. Word had spread quickly that Obina and Amaka's wedding was around the corner. Every compound hummed with gossip, and every mother secretly wished her daughter had been the one chosen. Amaka, the quiet church girl, had become the envy of many. Women at the stream whispered, "Chai, na prayer day work oh. See as that girl way day live for church don catch rich husband just like that." Others hissed, "Who knows what charm she used? Obina just day follow her like Mumu." But for Amaka, it was not about riches or gossip. Each day she woke with a sense of disbelief, as though she were living in a dream. The man she once thought too far out of reach loved her openly, tenderly. She felt chosen, cherished, something she had never felt under Chinyu's roof. Obina, in his usual extravagant way, had planned a grand wedding. "Nothing but the best for my wife-to-be," he often said, drawing Amaka close to him. Chinyu's boutique flourished as Obina invested money into it. Her car keys jingled with pride wherever she went. People now respected her more, thinking she was the one behind Amaka's sudden elevation. Yet in the quietness of her room at night, she sometimes ground her teeth. It stung that the man she had admired and tried to win had chosen Amaka over her. Still, she swallowed her bitterness, convincing herself that through Amaka, she too was rising. One bright Saturday morning, Obinna decided to take Amaka to the city. He wanted her to see the house he had been building and promised to show her the boutiques he planned to open for her after their wedding. Amaka was nervous and used to long journeys, but Obinna reassured her. "Don't worry, my angel," he said, starting the car. "With me, you are safe." They set off, laughter filling the car as music played on the stereo. Obinna sang along to old highlife songs, teasing Amaka whenever she tried to sing and missed the lyrics. She laughed until tears rolled down her cheeks. For once, her life felt complete. Sunlight streaming through the glass, love beside her, and dreams ahead. But life has a way of turning laughter into silence in the blink of an eye. As they drove past the highway, a truck loaded with timber lost control. The massive vehicle swerved suddenly, its horn blaring like the cry of doom. Obinna tried to maneuver, his hands gripping the steering wheel tightly, but it was too late. The crash came with a thunderous roar. Metal twisted, glass shattered, and screams pierced the air. The car spun off the road, tumbling into a ditch. When silence returned, the once gleaming Lexus was nothing more than wreckage. Obinna lay motionless, blood trickling down his forehead. Amaka, crushed between twisted metal, drifted in and out of consciousness, her legs pinned beneath the dashboard. Villagers who rushed to the scene wailed in disbelief. "Chai, Obinna Don Dio." Women slapped their thighs and cried. "And the girl? Nawa o. Chinik, see how fine girl just suffer like this." Obinna was gone before they reached the hospital. Amaka, however, survived, but at a terrible cost. Her legs were shattered beyond recognition. Doctors worked tirelessly, but when she awoke days later, the truth broke her heart. She would never walk again. Back in the village, grief swallowed Amuka whole. Mama Obinna wept until her voice broke. "Who will bury me now? My only son," she cried, rolling on the floor. Amaka, weak and broken, lay in bed, her tears silent. At first, Chinyu put on a mask of sympathy. She visited the hospital daily, consoling Amaka with empty words. But when Obinna's lawyers announced that he had left significant investments in Chinyu's name, because she had been presented to him as the elder sister and family head, her true colors surfaced. The boutique expanded, the Corolla was polished, and Chinyu strutted through the village like a queen. Meanwhile, Amaka, confined to a wheelchair, was left in the shadows. "Why are you not eating?" Amaka would ask weakly from her corner whenever Chinyu passed by. "Eat what? You think I have time to spoon-feed you?" Chinyu would snap, her eyes sharp. "Don't disturb me. Business is calling." Days turned into weeks, and Amaka's suffering grew. Many times, she was left hungry, locked outside the house Obinna had built, while Chinyu entertained friends inside. Sometimes she slept on the veranda, the cold night breeze biting her skin. Neighbors whispered, but did nothing. In Igbo land, family matters were often left for the family to resolve. But God, who sees the abandoned, was already writing a different ending. One late afternoon, as Amaka sat outside shivering, her wrapper thin against the harmattan wind, a stranger walked into the compound. He was tall, his face lined with years of struggle, yet his eyes burned with urgency. "I am looking for the daughter of the late Obinna," he said firmly. Amaka looked up, surprised. "You mean me?" The man studied her carefully, his brows furrowing. "No, not the daughter of Obinna. I mean the daughter of Chaik." Her heart skipped. "Chaik? But I am Chinyu's younger sister." The man shook his head slowly. "No, that cannot be. You are my daughter. I am Chaik." At that very moment, the sound of high heels clicked across the compound. Chinyu had returned. The instant her eyes met his, her bag slipped from her hand. "Chaik," she gasped. "Yes, Chinyu. It is me," he replied, his voice trembling. "I left because I had nothing. But I worked, I suffered, and now I have returned. I came for my daughter." He turned back to Amaka, his voice breaking. "I am your father." The earth seemed to tilt beneath Amaka. Her mind spun. "My father? But Chinyu, she is my sister." Chaik shook his head. Tears welled in his eyes. "No, my child. She is your mother." Silence hung heavy in the air. Chinyu's lips trembled, but no words came out. The truth she had buried for 25 years had burst open like a calabash thrown against a rock. Amaka's body shook. Her voice rose, hoarse with pain. My mother? You mean the woman who hated me, starved me, left me to suffer, was my mother all along? Chinyu collapsed into a chair, her head in her hands. Amaka, forgive me. I was young. I was foolish. I didn't know how to love you. Every time I saw you, I saw the man who left me. Amaka's tears flowed freely. Then why didn't you tell me the truth? Why did you let me believe I was nothing but a burden? Her voice cracked with decades of hurt. You were my mother, yet you became my enemy. Chike knelt before her, his rough hands clutching hers. My daughter, I am here now. I will not fail you again. Come with me. Let us start afresh. Amaka looked at him through blurred eyes, her heart torn in two. But when she glanced at Chinyu, her mother, who turned away, unable to even meet her gaze, she knew the answer. Yes, she whispered. I will go with you. Within weeks, arrangements were made. Chike took Amaka abroad, where doctors performed a complex surgery on her legs. Months later, she stood on her feet again, walking for the first time without crutches. She cried, not only for the miracle of movement, but for the freedom of finally breaking free from the chains of pain. Back in Omuaka, Chinyu sat alone in her spacious house, surrounded by wealth yet empty of love. Her boutique thrived, her car shone, but her heart was hollow. The daughter she had rejected now lived far away, beyond her reach, loved by the very man she once hated. And so the story ended not with Chinyu's triumph, but with her silence, a silence heavy with regret, reminding all who watched that in Igbo land, there is a proverb, Ihe madu zoro inakuku yuloya, yajiea kapitakwa yamio bula. Whatever a person hides at the corner of their house will one day be discovered in the open. Amaka found healing. Chinyu found emptiness. And the village of Amuka learned that truth, no matter how long buried, has a way of walking back into the light.